Okay. Let's check that we're live. Always got to double check. I guess also it's a good way to get the...
I just checked in on the question, and apparently it's closed for being opinion based. So,
Yeah, wait, what
that
is opinion bullshit? I thought we were here to do math.
Yeah.
yeah.
It's
Uh,
closed for being opinion based? Is it
yeah. So
opinion
that's
based?
maybe an interesting point to add to the
That
discussion.
is an I feel like we should all be against that. What do you mean? There's definitely truth in this question.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh, okay, let's see. Are we live? It's
Uh,
closed for being a. That is so funny. Oh my god, it's closed for being opinion based. I wish I
yeah.
could remove my little Leo lectures thing. I'm gonna pop out the chat. I don't know if I'm gonna see chat that closely, but
Oh yeah,
yeah,
I guess I probably want to open. I guess I probably want to see your chat as well.
yeah,
So I should.
sure. I just
Oh
want to check in with
gosh.
chat. Can you hear Elliot and Chris all right? If I'm gonna see. Hear me. No.
Wait, what's your YouTube channel?
Leo lectures if you look it up. But yeah, this is we're trying to resolve the great battle. There was a huge battle, a schism. Arad died. I'm pretty sure he's now
And
dead.
was reborn as Arod the Gray died and
Yeah,
was brought back as Arod the White.
it's true.
Oh
It
man,
was
apparently I
crazy.
underestimated the stakes here.
It was
Yeah,
big stakes. It was important
yeah.
stuff.
There
And
was a Balrog, by which we mean a Growth and Geek universe.
yes, and we spent
Which
about.
set operations actually matter?
Oh yeah, it's a good
What is
question.
your content?
None of them. None of them's the answer.
Yeah, yeah. None of them matter.
The
I mean,
axiom of choice isn't controversial.
yeah, that's my opinion.
Yeah, I disagree. I strongly disagree with Arad. I strongly
well,
disagree.
well, maybe we're just going to have
Or Leo. Oh
another.
my God, I
I
confused you, blue
know.
people.
You think all the blues are the same. I see. Wow. Wow. All of us blues. I'm gonna close this
See,
a
someone
little.
made a less wrong post with that title.
Did they?
Yeah, this is like just a few days ago. Someone posted this, and it's like now, well, people on less wrong are being the axiom of choice.
Oh, do you think I accidentally started a fire? That'd be funny.
You've reignited the old arguments.
I don't think it's that controversial. Well, speaking of controversial, that's some of the questions of today. So, like, yeah, a few days ago, there was a great battle. Arad died, but came back as Arad the White and left some comments. Most of the battle wasn't that interesting because it was just whether you called, I guess, formulas objects or not, or definable.
Right.
But I do think it led to interesting questions, which is, you know, I think are very often, I don't know, painted over in math education or even in math research, which is the relationship between the various set theory axioms, what you need, what you don't need, what you should use, and,
Mm,
just the practice of doing category theory. Because,
mm,
and it might be like somewhat cultural, because sort of maybe I was feeling it's like, oh, when I was learning the category theory stuff, like the way I learned category theory stuff was basically all from one Dennis Gatesgory algebraic geometry class, which was basically a category
mm.
theory class, and he was actually pretty conservative, and so he would like do things like showing that various large colimits existed with just ZFC. And the way you might do that is you would show that like the diagram factors through a small diagram, like through something that's set sized.
Hmm.
And if you can do
Hey,
that, then
how is largeness depicted visually on a diagram? Does he make the lines thicker if large categories are involved?
nah, it would be something well, actually, it was exactly the thing that opened up the 8-hour live stream. It was the category of like say sets over a given functor over a given presheaf, and you would do. I can just say very briefly what that example was. He was defining the Zariski topology of a presheaf, and you would just have your presheaf F, from like ring to set. It's not even ring op. And with this presheaf, what you could do is you have a category of like, I guess it's sets over F or C over F, which is basically the data of for every, point in some f of x, you have an object. So for every element, you have an object. And you have a morphism between two objects whenever there's, a morphism of these sets, and the morphism is given by what that point is mapped to. And then each of these points correspond to rings because, I shouldn't write f of x and let's say f of r. That's confusing. I have to do this very quickly because otherwise we're going to have no time for the great resolution. F of r. Well, each of these points will correspond to some affine scheme. So to make it simpler, or like to think of it in terms of manifolds, let's just say it's some regular space or whatever. Some genus 2 space. And then, so that's the shape of the category, is all these points. And then you have the functor to top that just gives the topological space, the Zariski topology. And so you have a functor from this C over F to top. And then you take the colimit of this diagram of the sort of C over F. And the idea is like if I have a scheme, like some base space that's kind of complicated, this sort of diagram represents the diagram of all maps of affine schemes into that scheme. Like if I have some base scheme and I have all the maps of schemes into it, and then if I replace all of these things with their Zariski topology and then take the colimit, that should give you the Zariski topology of your scheme, or in this case, your pre-sheaf. So it's rather general. But, you're taking a colimit over something indexed by, ring times set, really. Well, for each ring set. So that's large. And so how do you do this? And you have to, the way you can do this is like if you give basically a nice enough covering of like affine schemes, you can basically make an equivalent diagram which it will factor through, which is small. That so like you'll have some nice covering data, and like the gluing data of this will match the same gluing data of this. Like it'll be fully faithful. I'd have to think a tiny bit about the details, but that would be too much thinking, and then we get too far, too far in. So I'm just gonna go to the second page, and we could just start with. Well, I guess I haven't introduced you guys yet. See, terrible live streamers. We have K-Theory here, the eponymous, who will be linked as a collaborator on this video after it's. I tried to add it beforehand, but there was no collaborator thing. I looked for it. And he's.
I must be introduced. We've always been here.
Yeah.
We've always been a part of the show.
Yeah. They were always in the background, just sort of lurking over my shoulder like angel and devil. And K-Theory's got a great YouTube channel, which probably you'll hear about me through him rather than him through me. But you should still check it out. There's a lot of good stuff there. And
Thanks.
Elliot is the set theory whisperer of YouTube. He's been contacted by Veritasium and by a few other big channels to consult on various set theory videos, and me and Leo lectures. I ask him technical questions. I met Elliot briefly. I don't think you remember this. We both took Hiro Tanaka's algebra class. And then I took your logic class, which is where I learned most of my set theory and logic. And he recently, I guess not that recently, it was a couple years ago, graduated from Harvard. He's a set theorist. And now you're working at Principia Labs, right? Doing sort of AI math stuff. Is that right?
That's right, and wow, you keep the actual Latin pronunciation.
Yeah, well, I mean, I've seen Newton's Principia, so.
Have you actually read it?
I probably shouldn't ask this question because it'd be way too much of a tangent, but I am kind of curious at how you made the transition from set theory to AI.
We'll do it for another stream. We'll pin it.
Yeah.
We'll
I mean, you could also just email me afterwards or something.
Sure. But yeah, but
Uh,
Elliot,
and
also when I have set
Hold on,
theory
was the object
questions,
was the surprising thing there that I made the jump from any pure math to AI, or that
well,
set
yeah,
theory in particular
yeah,
seems
I
completely
guess there's,
unopt?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
also gotta move this to the side. Yeah. Well, yeah, we can. If there's time at the end, we could talk about that. But
Yeah.
yeah, and so I also every once in a while when I come to a set theory issue, I message Elliot and I'm like, "What's going on?" I have to because I'm clueless. Like I learned Tarski's undefinability of truth from him when I thought I found a weird
Mm.
contradictory proof. He's like, "Oh, you can't define definable." I was like, "That makes sense." It's like,
Mm.
yeah, yeah, yeah. But anyways, I think
Self-reference all the way down.
yeah, I think maybe the place to start is with the Stack Exchange, which is now closed for being too opinionated, which
Right,
is funny, which I disagree with. I think because like your different axiomatizations will have different consequences. So,
right.
um, but I want to ask about this question because I want to know if I'm wrong or not. And the thing is that in practice, you could say even though there's no sides here, there's no battles, no sides. But I was saying that there's quite a lot you can do of category theory in ZFC, and when I work with category theory in just ZFC, I feel perfectly fine working with the category just set, and I just define it like you define it. I guess if you want to be technical, as like give the formula that's given by just x equals x. It doesn't like barphi. Okay, it does. Let's say this formula if you're working in ZFC. And the question is like, is this kosher? If I'm just working with ZFC doing set, is it kosher to just refer to this class and to do things like say define the functor set times set to set, which is given by a product of set, and define the natural transformation between the two associative operators? Because in this comment, Jen Lin says you have to adjust the definition. So if you're working just in ZSC, you have to consider a small category of sets that you don't need to assume large cardinals, but you do need to work with some smaller category of sets. And the question for me to Elliot is this true? Do we need to, say there's some set or cardinal, which all of our sets are smaller than when working with our category of sets? And your answer can be like, if you're doing this, you do. If you're doing that, you don't. Because it's to what extent do you need it? What extent do you not need it? Mm-hmm. Also, do you want to see the whole post, Elliot? Or
I just pulled it up, just quickly looking through the comments that happened here.
Sure. And I'll even write, because I guess maybe a good example would be like, because you have this natural isomorphism, and the question is like, you can prove this with formulas. Not B. Well, I guess technically I could swap B and C, but that would be a silly way to write it.
So I don't see, are you writing on the board right now? Because I don't
Oh,
see
you have to go
where.
to the second page.
I see.
It's at the top. Yeah.
I see. I see.
Yeah.
Right.
And a set with two T's because it's the thicky set. No, wait, I killed it.
Yeah, so the thing is, I might now disagree with his comment.
Mm,
Because I think I'm coming around
mm,
to the ability to define it in terms of the
mm,
formula. So
mm,
I guess the main contention I had is normally when I think about the term class,
mm.
I think about, well, we're introducing like a new
Yeah, new
object
object like
as
NBG
as
or
a first
MK.
class
Yeah.
object. So like now we're instantiating
Mm,
classes as a thing, and that's how I've always thought about them or learned about them. And this is, I mean, how many people do it.
mm-hmm,
I suppose it is one way to do it, but I think I understand now the point that that doesn't necessarily need to be the case.
mm,
One can think of a class essentially is just a formula. And when we say, oh, a set belongs to this class,
Yeah.
it's really just a shorthand for saying, oh, this set satisfies this formula.
Yeah.
And so for me, this is maybe like this is okay. I can accept this now. I do think it's maybe not ideal language because the way that we speak about it is suggestive to me of the fact that we are thinking of a proper class
Mm.
sort of as a first class object
Mm.
and thinking about like membership relations with that and stuff. But then again, maybe it's not really a big problem because it is equivalent to just taking a proper class and people do it all the time.
Mm.
Yeah, I don't know. I
Well,
don't
I think like a lot of things, it's like life is context, and so I think
know.
it's just making sure the context is mutually understood by everybody involved.
Right.
And also, a thing I'll point out, and I think, one of the things I want to get to in this is comparing the kind of growth and deep universe axiomatizations with the class type axiomatizations. Maybe that's the thing
Right.
we'll do after this.
Right.
But I want to point out for anyone watching now or for people watching in the future that this is like technical details that I would even argue most pure mathematicians shouldn't know.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't matter that much.
Yeah.
It like I care because I'm curious,
Yeah.
but it doesn't matter a ton.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
anyways,
If you're watching this right now, you're wasting your life.
yeah. Go touch grass.
But we're
Touch
having
grass.
fun.
You aren't going to produce better category theory theorems by thinking too hard
Yeah.
about these matters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so Elliot, I want to hear what you think if you've had time to like look over this post or what Jen Lin had to say. Like, what would you say? Would you say we're restricted to just ZFC? I'm teaching, very an intro to category theory. Would I have to say, when I refer to set, a restricted, small category of sets, or is what I'm doing right now fine, where I refer to set and the product functor and a natural isomorphism showing associativity and such and such?
Yeah, I mean, this is all fine. Part of this matter of they're complaining that these classes aren't first class objects in ZFC, which is true, but also nothing breaks if you were to declare them to be actually literally existing first class objects. Are you aware of the
but
extension
if-
theory NBG, in which there are
So-
literal proper classes and there are no new theorems about sets?
So we're so we're going to.
Yeah,
I think the
so-
next
sorry,
section is
sorry.
going to be about relative power of these different theories between.
Yeah, but that's true. But that's maybe even slightly a different question because so if we do ask that these classes are first class objects, is this not going beyond ZFC? Because, for example, if we look at the 7 to 10 axioms that you want to take, I don't know which ones we're actually calling the standard ones of ZFC, but if you look at those 7 to 10 axioms, right? From none of those axioms can you construct a proper class because all of those axioms just allow you to construct sets. So is it technically not the case that if we say, okay, I'm going to treat this proper class, so I'm totally fine that nothing breaks. I believe nothing breaks. But is it not technically going beyond ZFC if we now have the extra thing where we're saying, well, a proper class is now going to be an actual first class object?
Yes, that is a strictly larger theory.
Okay, just checking.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna ask this like when you're saying nothing breaks, is that something like there is a result that con ZF implies con ZFC? Does
yes, this is the yes, there is such a result.
Does con ZF imply con NBG?
Yes, it does.
Oh, okay. So that's interesting. That's a big thing to, because one of the sections I wanted to, so that would say like the power of NBG and ZF and ZF and ZFC are relatively the same.
Yeah, as long as you believe that tetration, then the mathematical natural number operation of tetration is total, then as our meta theory, then you can get a proof of con NBG from con ZF.
Yeah.
What does it mean to be total in this case?
So whenever we talk about relative consistency results, you always have to ask what's the meta theory,
Yeah.
because
Hmm.
you don't just want to use a meta theory that just outright proves both of the two things we are
Yes.
equating here.
Yes. Yeah.
Like I could say I could say ZFC plus inaccessible proves that all of these things are literally just plain consistent, so
Yes.
therefore they're
Yes.
equiconsistent. That's meaningless. But you can actually prove these relative consistency results in very weak theories that are purely about arithmetic and syntax.
Well, what I want
So
to
Sorry, but what is it like? What does the term total mean? What does the term total mean?
this is a question that would revolve into a rather long divergence about the Chinese remainder theorem. But I am referring to a specific mathematical theory of arithmetic called, I'll just type it here, SEFA, which is roughly the weakest, the smallest fragment of piano arithmetic that has tetration in it.
I see.
Okay.
So you can make
Super exponential functional arithmetic. And there's like the standard like minimal theory that lets you prove, for example, the assertion con ZFC implies con NBG.
I see. I see.
So to say that tetration is total means
This
mean
is a very specific thing. I mean,
okay.
the simpler thing is that piano arithmetic implies con
Yes. Yes.
ZFC
Yeah.
proves con NBG.
Okay.
You just need a pietistic meta theory is enough to prove that these theories are consistent.
Yeah. Yeah. I want to say two things. One thing for various people who are viewing this, um, the questions here, which we'll get back to and talk about more, is that there are questions about whether anything we're doing is consistent at all, and most of you have probably heard about Gödel's incompleteness theorem, which says that if I have says specifically for ZFC that within ZFC you can't prove your own consistency, but it's actually stronger than that. It basically says that if you can like enumerate statements, you can't prove your own consistency. And the reason being is that you can like make sort of once you have the power to enumerate statements, you can make these very meta type statements that wouldn't be resolvable. And if you could prove con, you would be able to prove those meta statements. The second thing he was talking about is that like you could say all of these are equiconsistent if you just assume a really strong axiom that says they're all true. And then would be true implies true, which would not be that interesting. And so you want to start with something weak like piano arithmetic, or like Elliot mentioned, SEFA, where you have some notion of being able to, do these derivations, but you don't have so much power that it's trivialized. But before we get into like comparing the power of all these theories, I want to ask a question that if you have something off the top of your head, and sometimes hard to come up with something off the top of your head, it sounds like it's fine to like work with the class sets. You can, define this functor, you can define this natural isomorphism. I wonder if you have in your head, maybe a first example. Say I'm like a student. I'm a pure math undergrad student. I'm going through life and I pick up category theory, I pick up universal properties, etc. What's like the first example where really to do something you need to assume an axiom beyond ZFC? Like the first thing you might see in category theory where it's like, okay, we're reaching above ZFC for extra power to do this. And it can be hard to come up with these examples off the top of your head, but if you have one, Elliot, for that first example, I think that would be very interesting because that helps scaffold a guide of when do you need more axioms beyond ZFC.
I mean, wouldn't it be
I
a
mean,
functor category?
yeah, probably something like I don't know, if you want to like, yeah, the category of all functors on set from set to set, right?
So like
That is not that is just way too big to occur inside of ZFC.
yeah, because you can't quantify over formulas.
So that's the thing that's the first thing that really comes up is like you can talk about specific proper classes by this by really just treating proper classes as being shorthands for some formula, but that doesn't give you any way to talk about uh, arbitrary proper classes.
Yeah.
Like you can say there exists a proper class with this property because you can really just point at it, but you can
Yeah.
never say something is true about all proper classes.
Yeah. I agree. Yes, I agree that you can't say something is true about all proper classes. But it's interesting that, like, yes, this functor category, like, the reason it seems like it breaks is that essentially now we have a class of class functions, and that's something you cannot do with just ZFC.
Well, wouldn't another way to phrase it is to be because like in a category, we still want our objects, even though the collection of objects can be a proper class, we still want the objects themselves to be sets, right? Because we're imagining that we're trying to construct everything as a set. And so that means that if we wanted to create a functor category, then we need to treat our objects being functors, we need to formalize those as sets. And then the problem is to formalize any one functor as a set, even that already becomes a problem if that is a functor, say from set to set or something, right? Would that not be another way to express the
I'll
issue?
disagree with that. Because there's definitely like limited versions of this that you can do by various coding tricks. Like what's a good example? Let me sort of give a simpler idea. Let's say I take the Cartesian product of the universe of all sets with itself. Uh,
Like this.
so first off, notice that this is still a proper class in ZFC in the usual sense. It is a collection of things which are just sets in the normal sense. So an interesting thing about this is that now we'll consider this different object. The thing I was going to argue with. Okay, I have even a simpler example. Can you talk about pairs of proper classes in ZFC?
Yeah, so, well, this is actually, that was going to be the question I was going to bring up. Because I agree that you can't give a formula saying when a formula is a functor from set to set, right? Because you can't quantify over formulas. But the funny thing is, it's like, you can define this, which would be like an isomorphism in the set times set times set to set functor category. But like the way you would define it is you would say, well, all the individual for the triples of objects are isomorphisms, and you could list the properties of a natural isomorphism. And you could even, just like you can compose class functions, you could even compose natural isomorphisms, which is interesting too. And so, but I agree that like you can't refer to this, which is, so it's tricky. But I also agree that you can't refer to like pairs of
Which thing? Wait, which thing couldn't you refer to? What are we pointing at?
this, you know, like I can't give a formula that says psi is a functor from set to set or not.
Right.
Because you can't quantify over formulas. But this is fine. Maybe it's confusing, but it's like, so what would be, because you start referring to the functor category, Like I remember in learning category theory, you just give these examples, but it's funny, the examples you give of these natural transformations, you can still do in ZFC, but you can't refer to this in ZFC. So is there like a first, maybe what I'm looking for is like a first lemma that reaches out of ZFC? I can see this as the first object that you can't do in ZFC. So it's interesting. But also, because time is going on, maybe we'll pause on that and we'll just get to the next section.
What about the Yoneda lemma, right? Because so if we've established that we need to go beyond in order to have functor categories, and Yoneda is basically like an embedding into a functor category. So would that potentially qualify?
Should write fun.
So in what instance are you applying it to here specifically?
Let's see.
Oh. Well, the Yoneda lemma, like the Yoneda lemma is basically about embedding your one category into a category of functors out of it, right?
Yes.
And so, I mean, Leo's question was about like what is maybe the first lemma, and I don't know if this is the first one, but I mean this is a pretty early.
So the thing
lemma
is, you can't
category.
form the full two category of functors on set to set.
Yeah.
But if you have a sub collection of those which is indexed by first
By a
class
set.
objects, the sets,
Right.
then you can encode it.
Right.
And you can prove all the properties within for that index, for any indexing.
Yes, like say you have like you have for every set one proper class associated to it. So a V indexed collection of proper classes on V. Well, that in of itself can actually be encoded by one proper class.
Yeah, like you could do.
Because you can take.
Could you do this? Basically, I have a small full subcategory of C, and then essentially all the properties that I could prove that for all T, that's a small full subcategory of C, that like the Yoneda lemma applies, essentially, within ZFC.
So T is a small subcategory of C.
Like this is what I'm thinking of, like an indexing, and then you can show that the morphisms work out and it's full and faithful, etc. You can follow the identity morphism.
Yeah, I mean that much should be fine.
I see.
Right, right. Yeah, like the set. Definitely there is a. We don't have to go any higher up to get the class of all functions from functor from CAP to set. I believe that.
Well, it's interesting. But even though we could keep talking about this, I do think there's like three things I kind of want to get to that I think are interesting questions. And this next one I know a lot less about, so I definitely want to ask.
Okay.
And so, do you guys mind if we go to like talking about the different axiomatizations above ZFC and what their relative power is?
Yeah.
This might actually be more informative, where it's like, I think if we just keep starting with the basic examples, we'll get like split into hairs of like things that ultimately don't matter, of like, do we count the proper classes being first class or not? Doesn't really change anything which answer you give to that. But
so
when you start comparing foundational systems, the actual interesting issues might start to be more apparent.
So we're going to start with the basic set ones, so even ones weaker than ZFC, but we don't care that much about ones weaker than ZFC. So Z, ZF, and ZF.
Well, as one distraction, maybe you guys can just comment this later or something. But actually, one thing that dawned on me that I'm interested in. So presumably there's systems which are much less powerful than piano arithmetic that can prove their own consistency. Um,
Oh.
and I was wondering if maybe anyone knew of such things or where one might find exposition about that.
Well, you definitely
That's
can't
Yeah,
enumerate, so you can't
they're
do a
called
lot.
self-verifying theories.
It's,
self-verifying theories. Okay. Yeah, maybe I'll go Google that later on in my own time. But yeah, I just want we let's go ahead and talk about relative consistency. But I did want to ask that about yeah, strictly weaker theories in ZFC, or strictly weaker than piano arithmetic even. Yeah.
okay, for all kappa, there exists an inaccessible kappa prime, greater than kappa. Okay, so we have all these. Elliot, I don't know if you can just like put them in order of if there's like what con implies con of what else for these guys. If you can say
Sure.
it out loud, I could try to put in levels, like what's the lowest level, next level, etc. Is it totally ordered?
Yes.
Okay.
In fact, there's like a folklore fact that all natural theories are linearly ordered in consistency strength.
Okay. It's one of those folklore theorems.
I mean, it's partially folklore because the word natural is doing a lot of heavy lifting there.
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah. Okay.
But
yeah.
it's pretty consistently true.
Okay.
I don't think I've ever seen anything that's convinced me that there's a counterexample to it.
I see.
Anyway, con Z is strictly the weakest.
Mm-hmm.
Con ZF equals con ZFC equals con NBG equals con NBG with choice equals con NBG with global choice.
Okay, wait. So con is con NBG, con NBG plus C. Was there another one?
A choice, well, it never matters for any of these.
Okay. I see. And then the next one up is MK stronger?
Yes.
Oh. What is MK then? In my head, MK and MVG are like trying to do the same thing, but I guess I don't know what MK is. I guess we can
Yeah,
talk
what does
about
M what,
I
what
mean,
does
it kind
MK
of
even
gets to
stand
what
for?
the key difference
Is
is.
it Morse Kelly?
Mm.
Yeah, it's Morse Kelly.
Okay, and then these universe there exists. I'm guessing is then what? I think the growth and deek universe is just there exists one inaccessible, right? Or no?
No, growth in deep universes, you've got a hierarchy of them, I believe.
Elliot, which one is it?
I mean,
Are you gonna say it doesn't matter?
Universe axioms is vague.
Oh, okay. Well, okay.
Mm.
Then we'll say
There
one
is
inaccessible.
20 inaccessibles is in fact a universe axiom.
Mm.
Well, that's the one I use. So.
Based. Yeah, I'm very skeptical of the consistency of 21 inaccessibles.
So I'll say con ZFC plus one inaccessible. And then is this right? Then con ZFC plus, every cardinal has an inaccessible bigger than it. And so is this our total order of...
So the one the thing that's called Tarski growth and Deke set theory is the one that's every set. For every set, there is an
this
inaccessible
one. So
above
this
it.
is Tarski growth and Deke. Okay.
Yeah.
Tarski.
Yeah, Tarski.
Okay. Well, this is good to
Call
know.
back to the undefinability of truth part from earlier.
Okay. So we've learned something. Maybe I knew this at some point, that at least NBG, the con is the same. And this is all... Is this all, within... Let's just say within piano arithmetic, because I think that's what people will be familiar
Yeah, that's
with.
fine. Piano arithmetic proves all these.
Okay. Can prove all of these. Because I do not know what Sifa is. And I don't trust her. No, I'm kidding. But piano. I like piano. I think people like piano in general.
Mm.
Do you think it's true?
Do I think PA is true? Yeah, I'll take con PA. I'll take the over. I'll take on con PA. But all right. So the second question, maybe even before, is which of these do you believe? We'll even, you know what? We'll even put con PA in here. Why not?
Well,
And you
I
could.
certainly think these are all consistent, at least.
Okay, well, that's good. Which would you say? Are there gaps in here where it's like how confident do you think the set theory community is in the consistency of these various levels? Like maybe if there's like extreme confidence in con PA and then decent confidence in ZF, like
These
is
are all within the extremely confident territory. We aren't anywhere near things that set theorists consider strong.
okay, I see.
Yeah, that's my understanding as well
Mm,
from the digging I went into is that
mm,
and that's partly what convinced me that like oh I'm just gonna believe in like a whole hierarchy of like
mm,
inaccessible cardinals because I discovered that set theorists that's like the most benign baby thing and such like insanely larger worlds of set theory that people are talking about and I'm like okay so this is nothing my worries are nothing to a set
I see.
theorist.
Well, I have another question. Is there an inaccessible type axiom that's known to be not consistent? Like, can you assume something so big that you can literally just give an inconsistency?
I mean, trivially.
Oh, what is it? For every, how do you do it?
Well, I don't know. Take any theorem that I told you in your set theory course and replace it with its negation.
Okay.
Okay, how about this? An inaccessible cardinal that's in bijection with its power set.
But would that be an inaccessible type axiom?
Well, I think you have the bias of having known your entire mathematical studies that this couldn't happen.
I see. Is
Like
there
it's
some
easy to
like,
say, like, oh, obviously that's not a valid cardinal. We all
uh,
know that that can't happen,
is
but
there a fixed point theorem type thing where you can show things that are big enough and then you can show a fixed point for kappa to power set kappa, essentially?
what do you mean? What do you mean fixed
No,
point?
no, I'm just wondering how you like cook up this inconsistent thing when you're like doing logic. Like you can assume something powerful enough to show that the function uh, s goes to the power set of s has a fixed point.
I mean, I'm just
Hmm.
saying if you posit that as the property, like say call a cardinal very, very, very inaccessible if it's an inaccessible which is in bijection with its power set.
I would agree that
I
that
don't
would
know
be
that.
inconsistent. That's true. Okay, so
I
we
mean,
can
if you want
say
a more natural example,
hmm,
Reinhardt cardinals are the famous one where uh,
Hmm.
Reinhardt
people
cardinals.
did study it for a couple of years before it was known to be inconsistent.
Oh, I see. It's interesting.
And actually, in that one, the proof of inconsistency does use choice very heavily. And
No,
it's one of the biggest open questions in the field of is ZF plus Reinhardt consistent?
Hmm.
I'm putting it very low. All right, so the next question that I think people would like to know is what is NBG and MK, and what
I feel like that
is
diagram's confusing. To be clear, Reinhardt cardinals are not the right thing on the right.
are not what?
To be clear, Reinhardt, the definition of Reinhardt is not kappa, which is in bijection with its power set.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah. No, that's just a different thing.
Yeah.
I'll do what period.
Can
Right.
I actually there's sort of
Sure.
one question related to all of this
Hmm.
that I don't know I feel like I want to jump in and ask
Sure.
you know is about the so okay I mean I guess maybe the answer is somehow answered here because I know that somehow in like NBG there's a way to like include classes
Mm.
but um like I'm wondering about the strength of ZFC plus one inaccessible cardinal versus ZFC plus one proper class. Um,
Mm.
treated now as like a first class. object, because of course, we discussed we can talk about proper classes in like ZFC, but because in my mind, on a purely vibes based thing, it seems to me like those two things should be the same, because it's like you're basically just supposing the existence of one really large set like thing with an inaccessible cardinal. You're calling it a literal set. In the other case, you're calling it a proper class. But actually, my what's been explained to me over the last couple of days is actually essentially, because somehow like proper classes can be like encoded in NBG, that actually it is much weaker to assume the existence of one proper class as like a first class object, than compared to adding one inaccessible cardinal. Is this correct?
Yeah, I mean, I think it sounds like NBG meets the criteria you were just asking about. It
Well,
has V is the category of sets is a literal object in NBG.
well, I have I guess similar question. Suppose our meta theory is ZFC plus one inaccessible. So we're I've often thought of NBG, but maybe it's been a while, as basically like this, where say kappa is your one inaccessible. And then like this would just be like V, where you have everything you can build on top of your inaccessible. So for example, here, like for example, you can model ZFC with just V kappa. Kappa is inaccessible. I thought that like NBG is just sort of like you add one, so now you're allowed, you know, essentially subclasses to work with classes, but you can't then go another, like you don't reach to V kappa plus 2, for example. Is this a good way to think about it? Does this make sense?
Basically, I mean, okay, I guess one precise thing, one precise way to make this analogy is in ZFC, kappa is inaccessible. I'm typing this into the Zoom. If V sub kappa, comma, V sub kappa plus 1 is a model of NBG if and only if the same thing but MK.
Let me see. Okay. I'm gonna read that again. Oh, it's not letting me open chat. Can I open chat? Chat. Oh, now it's all ugly. Kappa is inaccessible if and only if V kappa plus 1 models NBG.
Yeah, what?
If and only if V kappa plus 1 models MK. Okay, so like relative to kappa some inaccessible, like if you're comfortable with say con ZFC plus 1 inaccessible, MK and NBG are kind of the same. Does that make sense?
Yes, I mean,
Okay,
yeah.
I see. Well, that's good to know. I feel like I'm learning stuff. So you would say all these are pretty conservative. This is the order of the consistencies.
Yeah, I think it's like the thing that goes wrong with like what you were saying before about why isn't adding one proper class to V immediately get you inaccessible. Well, in the case of NVG and MK, the power set axiom doesn't apply to proper classes.
Yes, exactly. So you don't have V kappa plus 2.
Right.
But if you want to have if you want these proper classes that you're adding to be as well closed in our theory as sets are in ZFC, that's basically what you get when you go up to a completely higher universe. And now, from the perspective of that higher universe, this inaccessible cardinal now has power sets and replacements and is as closed as anything you would expect under ZFC.
I see. Well, I think so. The third thing I want to get to, which comes after that, is sort of, you take this list, right? And it's like money, money, money. What do you get from going to each next more powerful thing? What do you get from... I would say I think maybe there's three jumps to think about, or if we were to put them into three things, maybe there's. Let's see how you guys feel about this. Maybe there's this, then there's this one inaccessible, and then there's the Tarski Grothendieck. And maybe we can forget about Kanzi. So this is like ZFC land. I'm going to put Con MK sort of there too, even though it was put stronger. And the question is basically here, we can do a lot of the stuff we talked about on page 2, where although you can't define the functor category, you can still talk about functors, and you can still even exhibit natural isomorphisms between functors, and you can still do, Yoneda's lemma and show that the properties hold for all, small indexings. The question is basically, what do you get by jumping to here? What's something you can do here? And similarly, what do you get by jumping to here? And also, are you guys, or I guess specifically Elliot, cool with these being sort of maybe the three treatments of levels of set theoretic axioms for dealing with category theory?
Wait, what was number 1?
So number 1 is basically ZF, ZFC, NBG, NBG plus C, and MK.
Why not with that? Why not Kanzi?
Oh, I don't know. We can put Kanzi, sure.
Like, do you know the elementary theory of the category of sets?
The elementary theory? Maybe. Maybe means that, like, if you describe it to me, I might be like, yes. But if you describe it to me, I might be like, no.
That's NLab always glazes, like, their canonical structural set theory.
Well, I'm not a big NLab
Well, anyway, ETCS is, like, very close to Kanzi. It's right below Kanzi.
Okay. Should we put ETCS here,
in fact,
too?
very precisely, it is equidistant with bounded Zermelo.
Okay. So should we put ETCS here too?
I mean, yeah, I guess so. So like, the point is, like, ETCS is like, if you like to list down like the rules internally that category theorists tend to care about the category of sets, that's ETCS, and you get all of that just from Zermelo.
Yeah, but it feels like a different vibe. It might be about the same consistency, but it feels like a different vibe. You know what I mean?
Sure. I mean, it's definitely it's presented very differently than
Yes.
Material set theory.
Actually, I know what to do. We're gonna make it purple.
I see.
To show that it's a different vibe. So the question is, what do you get when you jump here, and what do you get when you jump here?
You could do like basically. My understanding from category theorists is that like you can do almost everything they care about in ETCS.
Okay. Wait, then what was the point of talking about all these things if it's weaker than Z?
Well, so what's your goal?
The goal is to understand the relationship.
One thing is that sometimes like some of the benefits of using the stronger theories is more of a presentation matter of like.
Oh, so like it's just easier to present, the.
Or like.
To teach it.
If you like an English language theorem, when formalized into these different foundations, aren't necessarily equivalent to one another. Like, you might be able to do some sort of encoding of some theorem about a large category purely in ZF, but the actual idealized version that the category theorist believes in is more literal, and they would like to be able to actually talk about a higher universe to really fully literally speak about the objects of the theorem.
Yeah, like I think so. My understanding is, there's some Stack Exchange posts discussing what do you actually need to prove for Mott's last theorem? Like, does it actually depend on Grothendieck universes? And the answer is no, you don't need them at all, or that it doesn't depend on them. But I think if you took an extremely literal interpretation of the theorems as they're written, I mean, as they're written, they do kind of, because I think if you track it back to like SGA or something, and SGA does assume a growth and deke universe. Okay, but what does that actually mean? I mean, I think all of those theorems, even though technically, if you're taking the most literal interpretation of what's written, technically they assume a growth and deke universe, but none of them you actually need a growth and deke universe in order to prove those theorems. The only thing that would change is if you wanted to be extra careful to rewrite all of those things, is you'd just be creating yourself a stupid amount of work in order to rewrite those things. And it's just so much more to convenient to just say, yeah, we have this like hierarchy of growth and deke universes. And so yeah,
I think
like
it's about work. I'm okay. Another perspective here is like, do you see SGA as being a reference book full of lemmas or of like intrinsically important theorems? If they're just
mm,
lemmas, then obviously it's very good to do your best to optimize the hypotheses and get the fewest axioms. When you're trying to get a very concrete number theoretic result, like from Maslow's theorem, then
mm,
uh, certainly the utility of SGA towards that is a bunch of very useful category theory lemmas to do the things Wiles wanted to do to make his constructions.
mm,
But the actual thing we care about is at the bottom of the universe, the natural numbers. And
mm,
for there, you can work with just the most parsimonious statements of all these category theory statements and get a you get a ZF proof, and in fact, it works in ETCS. Any of these theories that are on the screen right now proves Fermat's last theorem.
mm.
And I
Well,
don't know of any examples of category theory being used to prove something at about natural numbers and real numbers or concrete structures for which you need to go beyond the lowest possible level to describe them.
yeah, well, I think that's a good question about Fermat's last theorem. I know, isn't there a project going on right now to try to formally verify Fermat's last theorem?
Mhm.
Another question would be like, in practice, for say the formal verification crowd, what are they assuming? Are they assuming these axioms for convenience? You know, do you know what they're using, what they're as their underpinnings? Or
Well, they're
Well, they're
using
working
type
in
theory.
lean, which
yeah,
and the consistency strength of lean is ahem. Let me put this into chat here because it sounds incoherent if you try saying this out loud. It is kind of the theory, or I'll use big cup notation. Big cup sub n of ZFC plus there are n inaccessibles for n in.
oh yeah, Elliot, Dylan's in chat. Dylan Pentland. Uh,
Hi, Dylan Bentlin. It's been a while.
Dylan's he's a number theory grad student at Harvard right now.
Mhm.
Dylan, do you have
Dylan,
any
do you
favorite
believe in
numbers?
inaccessibles?
Do you believe in inaccessibles? Dylan, do you believe in love? Uh,
Yeah, what's the consistency strength of love
yeah. Can we
versus
put
growth in deep
can we
universes?
put con love in here? Or
Yeah.
let's
Man, it was documented a few years ago to be somewhere between one and two inaccessibles.
That's acceptable. I could believe I then you know what? I could believe in love. I could believe in love.
wow.
But anyway, so
I'm gonna make it pink. And I'm gonna put a heart in there. Con love is less than 3. It's a girdle code. Isn't that beautiful?
that's where the heart
Yes.
image comes from. You know,
Yeah.
the shape of the human heart is actually a very complicated thing. It does not actually look like less than three. Less
Yes
than
to
three was
both
symbolic.
inaccessibles and love, but do you believe that love is inaccessible? Oh no. Oh. Do you believe in love for yourself, Dylan? Do you believe in love for us? Oh.
Continuing
Personally,
my philosophy
personally,
of
I
math.
I much prefer love from a constructive framework
I
of
see.
mathematics.
That's true. You prove love exists. You just can't. You just can't get
Yeah.
there. A non-constructive proof.
Yeah.
You're just like sort of sitting there like, well, okay. uh, I feel like love's an NP. That's the
Yeah,
question
I
of
could
like,
agree.
do you know when you're in love?
Right. And
Maybe
now we
love's a
know
signature.
from a stream from like a month ago, we now know we can attack that problem through the use of perverse sheaves.
Oh, well,
So
there we go.
there's something there about perverse
Man, you could do
sheaves,
anything with category
perverted,
theory.
tainted love,
Yeah,
that song, tainted. There's
yeah.
something in there.
Maybe we have to change it to like dark red and like it's gone wrong. Or bright red. It's gone dark. Oh no. Spooky dark mode. Okay, so I feel like this has thrown a wrench into this section of like my questions of what are the things you can do when you go up.
I sent you the theory on Zoom.
Okay, let's see. On chat. Com, big cup, and ZFC, plus there are n inaccessibles. Okay, by n inaccessibles, it means like a hierarchy naturally indexed. So like,
I mean, the inaccessibles are automatically ordered.
Well, yes. But I mean like, by inaccessible. Oh yeah, inaccessibles, are they defined to be certain limits? Basically what I'm saying is that like if I have an inaccessible kappa, 2 to the kappa does not count as an inaccessible.
That is true.
Okay, then I understand.
You have access to 2 to the kappa.
That's true.
From kappa.
Yeah, but you don't have access to 2 to the kappa from stuff below kappa. But I believe I know what you mean. Okay, so this is what Lean says. I feel like this is fine.
Roughly, yeah.
I feel like that also makes sense because then you have countably many references to needing an inaccessible. Then this is what you might want. This kind of reminds me of V of omega plus omega, which was a thing we were talking about in another stream, where most of mathematics happens inside V of omega plus omega. So I guess
most of mathematics happens in V omega plus 1.
That's true. Well, you might need like omega plus 2 technically, if you're being like hereditary.
Yeah, someone was mentioning in one of my streams the other day about Borchard's.
That was me.
That was you. Yeah, wasn't that omega plus omega? Wasn't that omega plus omega?
Yeah. Borchard's has a good. I found the YouTube video. It's like 17 minutes just talking about axiom replacement. It mentions V of omega plus omega. So I guess, Elliot, for this section, do you think if you're a category theory student or a mathematician, there's anything worth knowing about stuff you can do here and not there or wherever? The answer can be no.
And like I said, like hard appeal is just being able to phrase things as nicely as possible. So again, like this is why SJS is written the way it is. Tarski wanted like for Grothendieck, like what he was doing, he valued these theorems in of themselves, and he wanted their most general statements, which requires being able to actually refer to these proper classes as real physical objects.
I see. So it's like if you want to prove something where not just basically the object of your proof you want to be bigger rather than sort of just that you can prove something.
Yeah.
I see. Well, that might be a good lesson to take here. Are there any, since we're sort of coming up at the end, this is the more free period where chat, if you guys have any questions, or either Chris, if you have something you want to talk about. We can also look at if any of Rod stuff.
Have you seen this one, by the way?
Which one?
The Peter Schultz's whole math overflow thread about this topic?
No. Should that have been what the stream's about? Oh, don't end meeting for all.
We need the prereqs first.
I see. Shouts out to Pete. Hope he's doing well.
Pretty base, dude.
Uh-huh. No, I've not seen this. Shouts out to Hampkins. He's also got some. Joel
Shout
Hampkins
out
has got
Dumpkins.
some good YouTube videos. What's your favorite color, Elliot? You got one?
Orange.
Orange. Orange is pretty good. Let's see. I feel like I had another question, but I'm forgetting it now. Raymond
Are
distracted me.
qualia sets.
I see. I see. Well, it's interesting. Well, Chris, if you don't have
This is like
anything,
where it actually gets like this is definitely a part of math where it feels like more difficult to do all the relevant encodings because it's anything with higher category theory. Really, the if you just like naively phrase all the theorems, it's like, oh, you take as your baseline an already large category like set or some other topos and adding infinitely many more layers of structure on top of that. So, the nicest thing you can do is just say, okay, we want to apply all the rules of ZFC to these things which were previously proper classes. So you go up to a higher universe of ZFC, and that's like the inaccessibles approach.
yeah. Well, I
And that
do like
gives you
the
just
I like the perspective that because most of what I think of it have thought about these strong axioms is adding axioms to let you prove things about objects we already talk about. I like the perspective of thinking instead of adding these axioms as saying we want to talk about more stuff. I feel like that might change how I think about things. Like a few things I feel like I've changed how I thought about it because you know, I used to think of these as more strong, but if you say they're little baby axioms and assumptions, I'm taking your word on that.
Yeah,
if
These
you
are
want to do
I
some
was
big boy category theory, look up Opinka's principle.
a pinkus. I don't think that's allowed on YouTube.
Uh, Opinka.
But it's neat to know that there is a lot of these kind of elementary things that you can't do with just ZFC. So I feel like in practice, when I go forward, I think I'm probably just going to think about ZFC and full Tarski Grothendieck. Every cardinal has an inaccessible bigger than it. That I feel like those
yeah.
will be the only two levels I think of.
I mean, my opinion. So when I first had my Growth and Deek Universe existential crisis like 2 years ago, my opinion also shifted in this way because before I always thought about foundations from the perspective of like, well, we want to find, the minimal set of assumptions that's still interesting, right? We want to build up as much math as we can from as little as possible. And that was always my mentality about it. But then, I went and like hung out in some like set theory Discord servers and asked some questions and stuff. Yeah, and very, very quickly I got, I understood that this is not at all, what most how most set theorists are thinking of it, as opposed to this, this minimalist attitude. They seem to be thinking of it more of a maximalist attitude, and it's like, well, we want to do interesting set theory, and so to do interesting set theory, you want to assume big things, and so it seemed to me like their attitude was more. I mean, I don't know, Elliot. You can chime in with your personal thoughts on this, but my impression was that they have more of a maximalist attitude and more of like, well, we want to do interesting set theory, so let's see like how far we can push these things and figure out, yeah, where do we get inconsistencies, these boundaries, like the Reinhardt cardinal, if we have choice, and then yeah, open question if not. Yeah.
I mean, our attitude is very much like we do care about things like the choiceless riot cardinals or like any part of the large turtle hierarchy. We do have an attitude of trying to be efficient. If once we identify a theorem, it's most set theorists will strive to find like the smallest set theory that proves that result.
Mm.
Well,
So like for example, like for Rosdas theorem, even though set theorists genuinely do not find inaccessibles controversial, we definitely would strongly prefer to say, no, yeah, it is a theorem of ZFC.
Mm.
That
I see. So I think I think I've thought of a good place to wrap up, but unfortunately, I'm going to need a link from one of you because I don't have access to it. Could any of you guys forward the math undergrad category theorist? Because Elliot, you made this meme, right?
no.
You didn't? Aw, it's so accurate. I feel like I've met this guy like 30 times.
Mhm.
Uh,
I mean, when I saw the meme, I just spiritually
math
related to
undergrad.
it.
Well, let's see if I can find it just by googling it.
Isn't it's in our email thread. It's in our email thread.
But I didn't forward it to myself with attachments. Okay, why is it
You're like,
not?
can I post in the Zoom or
I
something?
found it. Yeah. I just feel like maybe the thing to take home is don't be this guy. Is that? Well, I think category theory is fun. But I still think of it as uh, mostly language for things. But
Mm.
Impaired problem solving. Ah, Elliot, I thought you made this one. I can see you making this. To be fair, I guess 100 people could make this meme.
We've all
Yeah,
met such a person.
Yeah.
Uh,
but you know, I also feel though like it's
Mm.
Leo, I'm sure you were
Mm.
in probably the live stream where I was talking about the concept of babbling, you know, and how the
Mm.
like there are these sort of annoying undergrads sometimes that talk about things that they don't actually understand, and it's
Yes.
like it's clearly way beyond their level. And like
Yes.
on
Yeah.
one hand, yes, it is really annoying, but like on the other hand, and I definitely did this at some point when I was younger too. On the other hand, like that's maybe just part of this learning process in the same way that
Maybe. Yeah.
babies babble before they develop language. So I also feel like being this undergrad is like also just a natural part of your development of a
Mm.
mathematician is you just like yeah, you become this guy for a while. And then but then you like grow through it and out of it. So
Yeah. I think there's truth to that, and you don't want to discourage curiosity. That's something I
right,
don't want to do.
exactly.
I think, but by the age you are an undergrad, you should have also evolved self awareness. So I think maybe the thing to be careful about is that some of these people babble and they ask a bunch of questions. And some of these
Mm,
people babble and they say a lot of statements. And a lot of those statements are
right.
false. And I
Yeah.
feel like you should try to develop a kind of self awareness, which shouldn't be too hard, or maybe it's just humility, to know when you don't understand something. Like I feel
Right.
like a lot of undergrad is like you learn about proofs and you learn about these things, and so when you're talking about something that you don't have experience with, that you've just sort of leafed through, you shouldn't be throwing out like if somebody asks a question, you shouldn't be like I will answer it.
Mm,
Because I think what annoys me is a lot of the times,
yeah.
and I've met a lot of these people, I've seen them in various comment sections. They'll try to like act as an authority when they're not. And I
Right.
and I believe in
Right.
them for them to be able to know the difference. I think you should still be
Yeah.
curious, but if you're curious, ask questions because these are
Yeah.
interesting things, and people with more experience can tell you about them in generalities.
Yeah.
That's not just nonsense. Like,
Yeah. I
so I
mean,
guess,
the difficult thing though is like
mm,
sometimes it's hard to know how little you know, right? So
yeah,
I've
yeah,
definitely ignorantly answered a question thinking I understood
mm,
the subject and then only to find out later,
mm,
sometimes much later that actually I didn't know what I was talking about. I mean, it's kind of hard, but yes, I do think one needs to try
mm,
to keep in mind and ask themselves the question of whether like, oh, do I really understand this or not?
mm-hmm,
By the way, Daysin asks in chat if there's a grad version of this meme, and the answer is no. All grad students are perfect and beautiful and infinitely smart. So we never make this mistake.
yeah,
As soon as you get that BSc in hand, you just instantly become a better, well-rounded person all around.
mm-hmm,
Definitely.
yeah,
I wait to hear how postdoc Chris thinks of grad student Chris.
Oh,
yeah,
as soon as I'm a
oh
postdoc,
yeah,
Chris, I'm gonna think that every grad student is a total like idiot, imbecile,
mm-hmm,
and only postdocs are the truly exalted. There's this meme somewhere out there. You can Google this meme. It's like, it shows like it's got this access of like, you know, bachelor's, master's, postdoc, supervisor on both axes, and then it's like when you're like as viewed by, so there's like, you know, postdoc as viewed
Oh,
by
I did
grad
see
students in
that.
this, and then there's like, yeah. I mean, if you just Google this, you'll find like 10 different versions of this meme. But yeah, that's the truth. That's the truth. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, guys, I think
I
this
will
was
say
very fun. Huh? Oh, sorry, Elliot, you want to say something?
while the adult category theorists are at the very least much more mathematically competent than the undergrad category theorist, I have dealt with this derision from people all the way up the ladder.
That's funny. I would say this was very fun. Thank you so much both to you, Chris. Shouts to the K Theory channel, and Elliot, the ever important set theorist whisperer of YouTube. If you've seen a big set theory video on YouTube, there's a good chance that Elliot has played a decent part in advising and making sure they're not saying nonsense. And that goes all the way down to what the 70 subscriber channels like Leo Lectures. From Veritasium to me, Elliot's there.
Yeah.
So he's holding it down. But I think we're gonna
Thank you
wrap
for
up.
your service.
Yes, thank you. All
In the
right.
shadows, trying to make set theory cool again.